Okay, now, so moving along now, we are going to be looking at the pattern envelope now. So we're going to look at the same pattern envelope, the same identity number here, 7725. And again, it's a McCall's. So when we come here, the first thing we want to see here is the style. Does the style on the envelope match the style on the front of the cover? Yes, it does. So we have style A, style B, style C, style D. This is the front part and this is the back itself. And of course, it's the different language, right? So we're gonna go through over it step by step because the paper is a little big. And then we also have is two paper you would actually find in the pattern envelope. So keep that in mind. So we're gonna be looking at the one that looks, of course, like this from page 1 to 3, okay? All right, so let's move down a bit here now. So as we move down here, we see there's only 6 pattern pieces in the pattern envelope, which is awesome, guys. Sometimes, you know, pattern I look at it, there's be so many different pieces. So in this case, it's very easy. In this case, it's very easy, it's very straightforward for me to explain to you. So let's just look at the numbers here and what is the meaning here, okay? So first we wanna know this here. So when we see A, B, C, D, it refers right back to the skirt, A, B, C, D, okay? So very, very important. All right, so once we know this is A, B, C, D, it refers back to the skirts itself, the letters itself above. Now we want to look at this here and determine which numbers correlate with which pattern piece here, okay? So we see number 1, number 2 is back and front. But one thing we notice is back and front, there's no letters beside it. There's nothing. If we look at 3, 4, 5, 6, there is letters beside it. So there is something there that is unique about not having no letters beside it, right? So for the front and the back, if we have no letters beside it, that means it's for all the pattern. So that means A, 1 and 2 is for everything from A to D, okay? I mean, we must use 1 and 2 to make style A, style B, style C, and style D, okay? All right, so let's look at number 3 now. So ruffle. So ruffle is only for A and B, done. You cannot use it for any other pattern. It's only for A and B. That's it. Sentence done, pretty much. So in this case here, you look at it here now. So if we look at here, let's just go over 1 and 2 first. So 1 and 2 again, we see this is 1, this is 2. There's no letters, there's nothing beside it. There's no A, B, C, whatever beside it. It's just 1 and 2, done. That means it's for everything like I mentioned earlier. Then we look at ruffle. So with the ruffle now, it's only for A and B. So it's only for skirt A and B, all right? So only for A and B. So ruffle is number 3. This is the tier number 3. It's only for A and B. That means it's only for A and B only. You can't use it for any other, all right? So A and B here, that's for the ruffle. And then we have the flounce here. So the flounce is only for C. So remember, we have 2 flounce. So we had to be very careful here. So flounce C, flounce D. So flounce C is 4. So we look at 4 here. It's only for C. So that's only for C and C only because we see C is longer, right? And then we have flounce D here. So D here is for 5. So D here now is 5, sorry, and is for this only because it's a little bit shorter. It's totally different, right? So we have to know, okay, which flounce I'm using for which. So we have to know how to identify it. Then we have the waistband. The waistband doesn't have anything beside it. So what do you think it is for? It's for everything. It's for both A, B, C, and D because there's no letters beside the waistband, as you can tell here. So that means it's for everything, okay? So let's say you're making style 1 now. Sorry, style A now, for instance. If you're making style A, let's pick the numbers that we need for A. We need front, we need back because there's no letter beside it, that means we need it. We need a ruffle, and we need the waistband. See that? So front, back, ruffle, because it has the A, because we're making style A. We don't need C, we don't need D, and then we need the waistband, because again, there's nothing beside it. That means it's for everything. So it's exactly the same thing. I'm gonna just look for one more. Let's make style C. So style C now, I need A, I need B, I don't need ruffle because it's for A and B. I need C because number 4, I need C, I don't need D, and I need the waistband. So the only thing what I don't need here for making style C is the ruffle and the flounce, which is 3 and 4. I would need 1, 2, 4, and 6. All right. And again, how we determine 1, 2, 4, and 6, it would be on the pattern itself. So 1, 2, 4, and 6. So this is the pattern piece. They have numbers, right? Very, very important. Okay, and it's the same thing that when you make your own pattern, you could definitely numbers them as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have the numbers. Okay, all right. So let's go over here now. So pretty much here is just the pattern instruction. Here it tells you the grain line. It tells you exactly what the grain line is. So it is the grain line. It tells you exactly what the grain line is. So place on the straight grain of the fabric parallel to the saw bed. So if you have taken any of our beginners, our beginners class, you'll partially understand what grain line is. But if you take our advanced class, you pretty much will understand some of the symbols very, very well. So the fold line is a placed line on the fold of the fabric, very important in sewing. So you had to know way to place the fold, how to place the fold, of course, if you're making your own pattern itself, right? And of course, if you're using a commercial pattern, you have to know exactly about the fold. It's very important. Then this is the buttonhole maker itself. So the buttonhole maker is just pretty much putting a line on your pattern piece to make sure you have it, and a measured line, sorry, to make sure that you have your buttonhole all lined up nicely and evenly. If you were to put a button, of course, maybe in a shirt or in a dress, all depends. You want to make sure that you have everything lined up. So this would be your symbol for your buttonhole. And then the buttonhole marker, so that would be the X itself. So this would be the X itself to actually sew the buttonhole. And then this would be the buttonhole holder, where you have to cut through, with a seam ripper, and then you place the buttonhole in it. So that's the hole for the button. And then this is where you sew the button itself. And then we have notches and symbols for matching seams and construction details. So you have your notches. Notches is very important in your sewing. You want to know if you have the right size or wrong size. So in most cases, if you have taken my beginners class or taken my advanced class, or whichever class you take, you'll understand that more is back, less is front. So if we have a pattern piece, we have one notch maybe on the sleeves, and we have another part of the sleeve has 2 notches. We know the 2 notches is the back, the 1 notch is the front, right? And this is some other symbol for sewing as well, for easing. Some of them is for easing, some of them is for maybe placements or way to start your seam. So there's so many different symbols, so you just have to kind of have an idea of what it is. Right, and then this is the indicator of the bust line, the waistline, the hip line, or even indicator to tell you where to start your zipper as well. Those things does happen as well. You may see it on your thing, and it should show you. It may show one of the symbol here, but this one says the indicator specifically for the bust line, the hip line, the waistline, the hip, the bicep. So measurement refer to circumference of the finished garment. So it all depends. So this is also a marker as well. It's also say wearing easing. I know there's different line for easing as well. So it also tells you, it gives you a symbol here, and you could also determine the symbol depends on what it is. It also could give you that symbols for if you put in a zipper, tell you, okay, this is where to start the zipper, and so on and so forth. Right, and then we have the seam allowance. So once you're using this commercial pattern, you would have to follow this seam allowance. Now you don't have to, in the sense that if you want to, if you know exactly what you're doing. Like for me, because I know the pattern is very big, and the reason why they're very big because of easing, right? Like some of you guys who take my advanced class know how important easing is. So if the pattern is very big, that's okay. You could always adjust your seam allowance according to how you want the garment to fit. But this is the standard easing that is on the pattern envelope. Okay, and then this of course is a different here, and then here it just gives you adjustment if necessary, how to shorten, how to lengthen the project, whatever it is. If you want to shorten it, if you want to lengthen it, you could open it up and add another pattern piece there, or maybe a fabric, or all depends on what you want to open. Right, it also tell you, it also give you a lot of instruction here. So shrink fabric, if not labor, pre-shrink press. So you have to follow the details on the fabric, depends on what fabric you're using. It also tell you if your fabric is a nap, how to place your nap, double thickness with the folds. So it tell you all sort of different information that you would pretty much need. See, cutting and marking. So this is information you have to read to kind of it also tell you how to transform marking as well. So before removing the pattern, it give you all these details here that you could actually follow if you need more details itself, right, as you're sewing the garment. Okay, so very good to read if you need to. Okay, so as we move down here now, we're gonna be looking at the layout of the pattern of the fabric. So let me just explain a little bit here. So when we look here now, we see the right side of this is symbols it's showing you here. If you're working with a pattern, if you're working with the interfacing, if you're working with the fabric. So let's just dive into this here. So this is the right side of the pattern, right? So the right side of the pattern, this is how the pattern will look on the pattern instruction sheet. This is the wrong side of the pattern. This is how the pattern will look on the pattern instruction sheet. So wrong side of the pattern, right side of the pattern, right side of the fabric. So this would be the fabric on the instruction sheet, and this will be the wrong side of the fabric itself on the instruction sheet. So let's look at it here. So in this case here, we see here we have, and this giving you a different way you could actually place the garment to cut it out, right? Depends on if you have a 45 with fabric and if you have a 60, there's 45 and there's 60 with fabric, okay? So 45 and 60 with fabric, I think we did go over it in the beginner's class. So definitely that could be a refresher for you to know the different fabric with 45 or 60. Okay, so in this case, if we're making skirt A, we can actually go with this layout if we want. It actually go for both 45 and 60 with this layout. It says here with nap all size. So this is the fabric here. This is the right side of the fabric. Now, how did I know that? Because it tell me here this is the right side of the fabric. So this is the right side of the fabric here, right? And then this is the right side of the pattern. So the pattern is on the fabric. So this is the right side of the pattern, 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 because it tell me here, right? And then this is the wrong side of the pattern. So this is how the wrong side of the pattern would be. So you just flip the pattern from right to wrong. So this is the wrong side. That means the right side is touching the fabric itself, right? So the wrong side of the pattern, the right side of the pattern, and this is what it tells me here, the right side of the pattern, the wrong side of the pattern, the right side of the fabric. So I know the pattern is on the right side of the fabric. And of course, this is our salvage here for the fabric, right? So you open salvage to salvage. So pretty much the same thing here. So I'm just going to look at one more, and then we're going to dive into another. We're just another section. So this is again is skirt B. If you're making skirt B, you have a 45 wood fabric. It give you two different layout here itself, all right? And also 45 wood fabric if you working with a size 6 to 12 or a size 14 to 22. So it all depends. If it's 6 to 12, you could actually use this layout. If it's 14 to 22, which is a bigger size, you could actually use this layout. And it actually you could use it with or without nap, it's saying here. So if you have a nap fabric, yes or no. So here again, we're gonna come back again. So this is the right side of the right side of the pattern. So this is the right side of the pattern. This is the wrong side of the fabric, guys. So you see here, so if we look here, we see selvage, there's a fold of the fabric. So we see here the fabric is actually on the fold. So the fabric is touching right sides to right sides, see here, because there's a fold of the fabric here, and we only see one selvage here, right? So we know that both of them is on this side, the fold of the fabric here. This is the right side on the inside, this is the wrong side. So the pattern pretty much is facing the wrong side of the fabric here, okay? Again, this is the right side of the pattern, here, right? And then this is the wrong side of the pattern. So this particular pattern piece is on the wrong side it's on its wrong side, on the wrong side of the fabric, right? Again, here again, we see here another piece of fabric. This is the fabric on the right side, and this is the salvage here. Then we have two pattern piece, and the pattern piece is on the it's actually looking at the right sides, and we're seeing it on the right side. So we're just gonna see what we see. We're seeing it on the right side itself. Okay, and then this one here again it's on a fold, so we know the fabric, the right side of the fabric, they are actually touching. This is the wrong side of the fabric, and the pattern is actually laid on the wrong side of the fabric. This is the salvage, this is the fold of the fabric. And again, there's the same here. If we open, this is the right side of the fabric, this is the salvage, and you put your pattern piece on the right side. So the right side, sorry, fitting us. The right side of the pattern piece is actually touching us. I mean, the wrong side of the pattern is actually touching the right side of the table, right? So that's pretty much it here once you understand this here. And it's the same goes for all this here if you kind of go follow through, okay? Okay, so let's just turn it briefly. We're not gonna stay long on this page. So these here now, again, is just saying sewing instruction, fabric key. So this again is just telling you again the right side of the fabric. So you know this here is the right side of the fabric, right here. Then tell you the wrong side of the fabric is here. So you tell you this is the wrong side of the fabric, and it would give you all the instruction. It also tell you seam allowance, how much seam allowance again. I go back. It also tell you when to trim, where to trim the corners, how to where to notch, clip the inner curve. So it actually give you all the instructions here. And now it's actually pin and fit. So pin or base seams right sides together, matching notches, and so on and so on. It tell you about pressing. So pressing the seam allowance flat, then open other unless otherwise stated. You want to clip, you know, it gives you all the information here. And then you go ahead and give you some fabric glossary here, like gather, narrow hem, you know, slip stitch, stay stitch, and stuff like that. So now you're going to a sewing instruction. Then it will tell you exactly, this is for skirt A to D, right? So skirt A to D, it tell you stitch darts in front, one press towards corner. See what I'm saying? So it explain what to do first. Then it tell you what to do next. Then it tell you, then it give you use special invisible zipper and whatnot. So it kind of give you the information here. And then it explain how to put the zipper in here. So this is all the explanation it tell you here. And you follow the steps. So 6, 7, actually you can see a 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me just get here. And then when we come here now, right here, then it come up to it came up to 12, but this one is view C. It tell you now how to, so this one, these here was for all A to D, so pretty much it's the same method to put the top part. But then when we come to the, sorry, I apologize, when we come to 9, I apologize. So here it say this is for view A and B, right? So from 1 to 8 is for everything, from both for skirt A and A to D. But then when we reach to view when we reach to 9, now it's only for A and B only. That means C and D is not part of this instruction here. So this is for only A and B. If you're making skirt A or B, then you could decide to branch off. Then it tell you what to do here. Then you go here, and then when you go up to 12 now, it tell you what to do for C only now. So this is now C. Take over, it tell you what to stay stitch and all that. And then when you come here now, then 17, then you go down to D here. So 18 is start with D, right? It tell you exactly what to do for D, and so on and so forth. So that's this part of the envelope. Then the next part is just actually continue. So this is 21 here. So 21, right? And then you're gonna continue to 22. 22, you just tell it 22. So you just have to read to see where it is. So now you're gonna do the waistband 22, stay stitch, finishing the stitching 29, and so on and so forth, right? And then you just come back to tell it. I think some of this here is Spanish here, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. So all these parts here just give you instruction of how to put the garments together. So that's pretty much for the pattern envelope. Yeah, you just have to take your time and kind of go over it over and over to make sure that you really dive down deeper to understand what's going on in the envelope. All right, so hope that was helpful.